Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation of how a 28 location McDonald's franchisee reduced 90-day turnover to just 34%. My name's Zach Matuk. I'm the Director of Marketing over here at Sprockets, and we are a hiring platform helping franchise owners and operators reduce turnover, boost retention, and really cut hiring costs with our simple add on solution that helps identify the best applicants for your business in real time. I'll get into that a little later. But I want to welcome Jim Kennedy to this webinar. He's the Director of Operations over at Michell Enterprises. Jim, welcome. Why don't you talk a little bit about your role in Michell Enterprises?
Hey, my name is Jim Kennedy. I am the Director of Operations with Michell Enterprises, and I oversee the day-to-day operations anywhere from in the restaurants all the way, to hiring and human resource type information and things like that. So all aspects of the business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. All right. So before we get into this Jim's story, we also want to hear your story. Okay, so anyone watching this webinar, if you sit down with us before the end of the month and discuss the challenges you're facing, we will give you a $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is email me. You can see my email right here. I will show this again at the end of the presentation. But sit down with us, tell us what you're dealing with. We'll tell you how we can help, and you'll get a $25 Amazon gift card. All right, here we go. So, what challenge are we seeing across the industry with hiring, and why is it still so hard? So hiring and retaining quality employees, continues to be a challenge for restaurant operators, with many thinking the only way to maintain staffing levels is to spend more on job ads, right? Keep filling the top of the funnel. This can get expensive, especially in today's click to apply culture that makes it easy for people to apply to dozens of jobs in minutes. The truth is that your busy managers lack the tools to identify the ideal applicants and contact them before they lose interest or go to competitors down the street. So they often hire workers out of desperation who end up being a bad fit for the business, keeping these owners and operators stuck in an endless cycle of employee turnover, with the addition of the costly job board bills. And in fact, we recently did a case study with Forbes where we analyzed 549,000 applicants across 305 separate business locations. These were all QSR locations. And this is what we found. We found that 82% of applications actually never get viewed by the managers. It takes an average of 8.8 days, so more than a week, for a manager to contact applicants who had applied, and 97% of the applicants get ignored or ghosted by the employer. So in other words, only 3% of applicants that come in actually convert to employees. So these are striking numbers, but I'm sure for some of you, this maybe makes sense. Why are we not getting great people in? Okay. Then from the applicant side, we saw that 54% say the biggest challenge is not getting interviews. Again, in line with that massive 82% of never even getting looked at number. 38% expect to hear back within 3 days. That's much shorter than your 8.8, almost 9 days. And then 52% want fast response time. That is the most important piece or factor when looking for a job, okay? So again, this was recently done with Forbes. We've got the data to back it up. Striking numbers here. So, Jim, looking at that, does that resonate? Is that kind of in line with what you guys have been dealing with or what you maybe still see out there in the space?
Yes, Zach. It's still a matter of the general managers and the hiring managers, really not either having the time or making the time to hit every applicant and then screen them to pick out the best ones.
Right. Right. And then, a lot of these people, so yeah, they don't have the tools to get the best applicants in front of them quickly and act on them, right? They might be still looking through resumes or stuck in a manual process, which just does not help in today's everything's got to be quick, quick, quick culture, right? So, in fact, according to this slide right here, 81% of your employees will leave within a year and 25% won't last longer than a month. So this is why it continues to be such an issue in the industry, okay? But what is the actual solution? So you got to rethink your hiring process, okay? So, one, use effective screening tools, which we'll talk about. That's what we do, okay? And then you got to reach top applicants first. You need to quickly engage applicants via text, where they are all day, right? Or a phone call before you lose them to competitors. So, we're going to talk about how Michell Enterprises, how Jim, they changed their hiring process and achieved some amazing results. So let's get into it. Jim, prior to reaching out to Sprockets, what were some of the challenges that you and Michell Enterprises were facing, that you were dealing with at the time?
Well, it was during the pandemic, and it was probably 6 months or so into it, where there was still a lot of sales happening as we were open, but a lot of folks had chosen either not to work or weren't able to work for health or what have you, or just out of concern for their personal safety. And with the added stress and pressures of operating in that environment, the managers in the locations weren't having the necessary time, I guess, really to kind of scroll through and look at all the applications. And then when they did get the chance, maybe instead of doing it daily, they were down to doing it perhaps once a week or so.
Right.
And by the time they got in contact with the applicant, that applicant was like, "Oh, I've already been hired somewhere else."
Right.
Or they already found a job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. All right. And then I remember you mentioned you saw us. We came to light from another, I believe, ad from another operator or some type of helpful newsletter.
There was during a webcast, which were happening regularly during webcast update were happening regularly during the pandemic. We're always talking about the people aspect of the business.
Yep.
And the Sprockets had been alluded to, and in the deck was a link to your website.
Awesome.
So the thing that stuck out was where we were at from the time between apply to contact, and where Sprockets could actually help us with that, but then also just kind of pre-screening the applicants so we would be going for the best candidates.
Got it. So that kind of answers question 2 here. What were you looking for in a platform? You wanted something that would help with the time to contact, and then obviously would show you here's the most valuable or best fitting applicant for your business.
Right.
Cool. Were there any other features that stood out or things that you were looking for in this, addition of a hiring tool?
The thing that it kind of intrigued myself and other leadership in the organization was that it was based on personality traits of your top performers. So you were getting it was sifting through the applicants to find people who had similar traits so that you would have like-minded people. Because the training piece is the easy part. It's getting the people in there that will end up being, so they fit the teams faster.
Right.
Personality-wise, and that helped to maintain the staff levels.
Absolutely. Yeah, building like-minded, teams of like-minded individuals, right, sharing the same traits, which I'll get into how that works in a bit. Awesome. Now, how has your process changed since implementing Sprockets? I'm assuming you have your GMs or your hiring managers all set up to receive notifications. Will you talk a little bit about that?
So that was when we first rolled it out. At that time, it was actually a rep on your end that was sending out email alerts or text alerts. But that was before it became automated.
Yeah.
But one of the key selling points was that with that text or email, there was a link right there to contact the employee. So within like a an hour of them applying, if they scored over, in the top tier, like over like an 8, I think it was.
Yep.
They would say, hey, there's a great candidate you might be interested in talking to, and then the manager could right then and there just click the link on their phone for the text and reach out to the person, and at least to make contact with them and set something up. So it sped up that process there, and getting the potential employee in the door faster.
Absolutely. And, it was on the title screen. It's right here. Since implementing Sprockets, I know you started with a pilot and then ended up rolling it out to the entire 28 locations, but you were able to achieve 34% 90-day turnover, which is well below the average in the QSR industry, which is fantastic results. And then I believe it was shift leader turnover went to 0% for 90-day turnover. So in other words, they were staying longer than 90 days, which is great. Are there any other results that you can share since implementing Sprockets?
So during the pilot with the 6 locations, those 6 were able to get up to their targeted staffing levels quicker than the rest of the locations. And then I stayed in contact with the general managers, and there was not a one of them hesitated when I asked for feedback about if we should roll it out everywhere. And the other piece is, so like right now, we've been on, I want to say 2.5 to 3 years, and our 90-day turnover is between 30 and 31%, and that's for all of those 28 locations.
Amazing.
And then I know that one of the locations, the pilot, when we had first rolled it out, that general manager at that location, their actual overall turnover, annualized turnover, ended up being around like 70, and that was during the pandemic.
Wow.
So,
that's fantastic. That is half of what, that's like 144%, right? Annualized turnover. That's amazing. Wow. Fantastic results. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Well, definitely a success story. I know you've been with us for a long time, which is fantastic. So I really appreciate you, explaining that, your journey with us, and what you've been able to achieve. So let me talk a little bit about how it all works. So the Sprocket solution, and Jim touched on a lot of the main points here, but we help franchise owners and operators engage with the most valuable applicants to their business in real time. How do we do it? We help identify incoming applicants who are most like your top performing employees. It's through a quick pre-interview question set. There's only 3 little questions. So we have, when you get set up with us, you have your top performers answer these questions. They're written. We can pull out the personality traits, what makes them tick, and see what they all have in common. And then that acts as a benchmark for any incoming applicants, right? So they go through your normal hiring process. You don't have to, rip and replace any equipment here or other software. We are just simply added on as a quick 3-question survey. And then we are able to set a threshold score. So if you only want to talk to people who score above a 7, we can do that, or above an 8. And in real time, your hiring managers or GMs, whoever you want to receive notifications, can get a text message that says, hey Jim, Zach just applied. He scored an 8. He looks like a great candidate. Click here to contact them. And that's it. We are helping you get in front of and get in contact with the best applicants for your business per location, really quickly in real time, so you can get them in the door faster than the competition, right? That is what Sprockets does. Of course, there are other features. That is the core, the applicant matching, as we like to call it. I do want to touch on Sprockets pools really quick. It's a newer feature, but a lot of you probably have thousands and thousands of applicants that have come in basically since the beginning of whenever you've had an ATS set up or a job board. What Sprockets pools allows you to do is engage with all of these past applicants that you likely paid for if you're using, job board ads. So it can add up a lot. And what we allow you to do is, through a little text message campaign, is re-engage with your past applicants, whether you have 100, 10,000. We actually just talked to someone who has over 1 million across their hundreds of locations, which is unbelievable. But you can re-engage with them. They can take the Sprockets survey. You can get a score, and now you actually can see which of these past applicants are very qualified, who maybe you overlooked originally, that you'd like to get in to fill in the gaps in your staff, to fill in the open roles. A very useful tool, so you don't have to keep throwing money at job boards and filling the top of the funnel. It's very likely that a lot of these people are still maybe looking for jobs or in the area and would jump over to your crew because they are a great fit, which they'll be notified, hey, you scored well. We'd love to talk to you, right? So Sprockets Pools helps you save a ton of time and a lot of money when trying to source applicants, and it's a new feature that we are quite proud of, okay? I'm not going to go through all this data here. You know, we're helping other brands, not just McDonald's and not just Jim, other brands and operators, you know, fight employee turnover, get better people in the door, and just improve overall, you know, the quality of their teams, the size of their teams, and people are staying longer due to Sprockets, right? So we'd love to work with you to see what you're dealing with and show how we can help. But yeah, we're having a lot of impact across the industry, not even just QSR. We're also in the C-store space as well, and even other industries where there's a lot of hourly workforce focus. So we're here to help and solve your staffing challenges. So, Jim, anything else you'd like to add about Sprockets?
No, I don't think so, Zach. I just, I I would highly recommend it. That's all.
Fair
That's
enough.
all I say.
I appreciate
I'm a
it.
big fan and an advocate.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jim. Thank you. Thank you, Michell Enterprises, for being an advocate and customer of Sprockets for a long time now, maybe one of our longest running customers, which is fantastic. Look forward to the continued success with you. If you have any questions at all, my email's here. Again, thank you, Jim. And I look forward to maybe talking with some of you in the future.